Yo, what's going on today? I'm really glad you're here because I want to give you a behind the scenes look at a new sort of painting that I'm doing. Basically, it's a study for a mural that I want to do of my friend, and basically I'm making this sort of study to also send to a group show at ABV Gallery in Atlanta, Georgia. And that's a group show that's going to happen soon, so I'm basically shipping it off as well. So I'm trying to hit two birds with one stone. And right now I just want to sort of give you a behind the scenes look at what I'm doing for, the process of creating that piece, so that you can see exactly how I go about creating some of the pieces that I do and my thought process. So let's get into it. So one of the first things that I did was decide on using this new material I wanted to experiment with. It's called parachute cloth or Polytab or mural cloth, and it's like a thin fabric, and you can get it by the yard, but you can gesso it as well to prep it for paint. Usually they use this to sort of paint on and then post on walls to make like permanent murals. So I wanted to try this material for more of a traditional canvas piece, to be able to just move it around, chop it up, and do things with. But I wanted to actually paint one of my friends, DJ Etaf. He's like a food justice artist, and this is like the image that I wanted to do. So the first thing is like, okay, how do I sort of cut it the way I want to? So I actually use my laser cutter, my Glowforge, to actually cut out the outline, because I wanted to make sure that it was like an accurate sort of shape or proportion to the actual canvas. So I just made an outline on my computer, cut it out, and then actually sketch it, and then actually just go ahead and paint it. So it took about, I'd say, 2 hours to do all the painting, and it was like a fun process just being able to paint on top of it. I used the latex house paint, the samples that you can get at Home Depot all the time, or Lowe's, or any sort of specialty paint shop. You can get these samples, but I used it for this project right here. And like I said, because it's a study, it's just really just trying to figure out exactly what this mural I want to do would look like on a smaller scale. So that's basically the sort of the mindset that I had going into this project right here. But adding all the different colors and basically just priming it, but it takes paint really well. And the reason why it's sort of red right now is because I used my transparent red spray paint to make a clear coat over like the chalk lines, or just like the pencil lines that I did, because I didn't want the pencil lines and sort of that sediment to sort of rub in with the paint and sort of make that muddy color. So I made like a clear layer on top of it. I didn't have like any clear coat, so I had to use that. But yeah, so I utilize also this sort of technique that I'm doing, where I'm sort of like dissecting the figures that I do with like a solid shape or solid color, and utilizing that technique for this is something that I wanted to do, using the parachute cloth, or a way to just move it around. Usually I would do this in Procreate, but I want to sort of have it more tangible, more sort of tactile, to where I can actually move it around with my hands and actually just see how it's going to look. So this is me just actually cutting away at part of the actual piece to sort of make sort of like a solid line all the way on the right side of the figure. Having something like this I think is really cool, and I did it before on one of my murals and I really liked how it came out, so I wanted to sort of do that again and sort of just like take things that I liked in my previous work and utilize it in this work as well. So now really it's just all about just putting this piece on a canvas and just moving it around and seeing exactly what other shapes I'd want to sort of add to it. I had like an old sort of piece I was working on a couple days before. It's just seeing how it looked. But I like having this sort of fabric, or this sort of thin sort of canvas, because I'm able to move things around a bit and just see exactly what shapes work with it, what shapes don't. So after I find out, okay, this is the shape that I think would work with it, it's basically going back to the laser cutter with this material, which works on laser cutters really well because there's no burn marks or anything. I'm easily able to cut shapes out of it. So just going back to the laser cutter, cutting those shapes out, spray painting them in different colors. I'm able to go back and take it off the canvas if I don't like the color, and just basically blast it with, spray paint, and add it to the composition and just move it around until I feel like there's balance, and there's sort of like this easy sort of on the eye sort of element, and just cutting things up. But I like this element, like I said, a little bit more now than the actual Procreate, because I'm able to really make smarter decisions, because there's a lot of work being put into placing things and cutting things out. It's not like Procreate where I'm able to just move things here and there, which makes it easy, but this one I have to be a lot more thoughtful. So there's an entire process of me just like being more thoughtful about the decisions that I make, because like I said, it's just a lot of work going back and forth and creating these different shapes and seeing how they work together. But really it's a lot of just moving things around and just seeing how it goes. And once I have that, I'm basically just painting the background color that will sort of be the base for everything, and placing it where it should be, and getting the gel medium ready for me to sort of just glue everything down. So if you never sort of ordered a lot of the gel mediums or the gessos in bulk, I did a video on the Novacolor website. So Novacolor has a ton of the gels and mediums and gessos in large quantities. So that's where I've been ordering a lot of my sort of materials from. So that's what I use for this project as well. So basically, like I said, it's just gluing everything down correctly. The one thing I don't like about using the gel medium is that it does give more of a glossy finish to everything rather than a matte feel. It's not super clear. It is clear, but the finish sort of throws me off a little bit. But because this is only a study for a mural that I'm sort of just like wanting to do on a larger scale, it's totally fine. This stuff is not supposed to be sort of museum quality or super refined finish. It's really only supposed to be a study like you would do in art school or just in the studio, learning about how to execute something on a larger scale, or when you're finally getting into your final project. So this one right here is basically just being able to work around this sort of fabric material and just see how it works on this smaller scale, while actually working on a future project, just planning on what a future project would look like. But this is the outcome, this is how it looks, and really after that it's just packaging everything up and going to the FedEx office and shipping it. But that's basically the behind the scenes sort of process of this current project that I'm on. So I'm glad you stuck around just to check out the insight and the behind the scenes of how I create some of those different little pieces, and basically just the materials I was working with. I'll have a video on the Polytab parachute cloth material that I was working with, because I really like that material. It's the first time working with it in the studio, and I'm really liking that it was great on the laser cutter as well as taking paint. So I'm going to do videos on that, but I'm super glad you get to see me basically make a piece behind the scenes in the studio and the process. So that piece is going to ABV Gallery in Atlanta for a group show, so it should be there soon. So I'm happy about that, and hopefully you like the video. Like, subscribe, and hit that bell notification so that you're notified whenever I do videos like this, and I will see you next time. Peace.